we have to deal with the fact that Trump is not delivering. Like, if you don't want to gish gallop, let's just start there. You say, well, I don't think it's a complete failure. Yeah, it is. And you bring up BLM. BLM happened in 2020 because Trump let it happen, because Sean Hannity was calling him every day and saying, this is better for us in November if BLM burns down the cities. So the summer of love happened in 2020 when Trump was president. And then Trump comes back.
It started under Barack Obama with going back to Trayvon Martin.
The George Floyd summer of love.
Yeah, it was a continuation.
Well, I think they kind of picked up on it. Don't you think? It wasn't like...
Yeah, it went full steam ahead under the first Trump administration, and they did nothing to solve the issues. And I think I know why. They thought that let the violence and craziness continue because it will make the Democrat Party look crazy. But in the end, it turned voters off to both sides, because one side was pushing the violence, the other side was doing nothing to stop it. So you both are bad in that situation.
No, I was there, and I had people on my show back then with Hands Up, Don't Shoot. And I remember the assassination of the Dallas PD. Donald Trump was elected, specifically his first term, because of how disruptive Black Lives Matter was and law and order. And I would say there was significantly more than under Barack Obama. But if you say they're the same, that's just where we disagree.
Well, what are we debating about? I mean, in the George Floyd summer of love, maybe I'm wrong about the calendar. It was in 2020 when Trump was president, and it was the worst, arguably the worst BLM violence, I think, in the 21st century. I think that was worse, actually, than Mike Brown or Trayvon Martin. And Trump was president, and he didn't intervene because he was told it'd be better for him. And now in 2025, there's no National Guard. He chickened out on that. He chickens out on all that stuff. He was going to send him to Chicago, going to send him to every major city. Never happened. Even here. You know, they're doing the deportations in Broadview here in Illinois. They brought in like 400 National Guard, and ICE is still getting chased. And they got boxed in by a bunch of different protesters, one with a semi-automatic rifle. There's no law and order. Irina Zarutska died under Trump. The crime in New York under Trump. The crime in Chicago under Trump. It's a failure. And
he's good, really good when it comes to lip service and talking tough. But with the people in this administration, they are setting him up again to fail, just like the first administration. And it's just sad to see, because as we know, I voted all 3 times for him, but they aren't doing enough. Bring the military in and send a effing message. That's what they need to do. They need to stop doing this thing where they go on Twitter and act tough and send very few agents out there. They need to send the military out and do these large deportations. Otherwise, nothing's going to change. You're going to continue having the same rigged elections. You're going to have the same corrupt politicians. But I do believe this is on purpose, because they give us just a little bit of what we want on both sides while they intend to divide us at the same time. Bam. You have a effing non-masterpiece, just like a crazy event waiting to happen.
We're 10 years in. And so you say, what is it going to take? Because we elected him once,
Can I ask you
twice.
something, though, just because this is the point I'd like to address when you say Irina Zarutska, and obviously we've covered that, and I think we're in agreement when you look at the judge and you look at the man who was released, I believe, 14 times, right, under the guise of equity, Black Lives Matter, precisely the kinds of policies that only exist because they have been supported by the radical left who run the entire Democrat Party, right? So, yeah, some of that happened under Trump's watch, and I agree. He's definitely far from perfect, and I think he's failed in a lot of ways. But who has been orchestrating? You talk about these constructionists, right? They want that, and people like Ro Khanna, people who you talk about in your coalition, it's their raison d'etre. So why hopscotch the voters who would not vote for that coalition precisely for the reasons we're discussing? Because they're against all of it, because Trump hasn't done enough to fight. I mean, COVID happened under Trump too. Huge mistakes. Fauci, awful. But I certainly think that 20 million illegal aliens in 4 years is worse than a reduction of 90-something%. I certainly think that the people who orchestrated Black Lives Matter and the people who ran those cities and the people who have blocked ICE from doing anything is worse than the guy sending in ICE with any effort at all.
But
the thing about the illegal immigration, and I will give this administration kudos for it, they have pretty much shut it down. But if you don't get the deportations happening, like at large mass scales, like Fuentes has been saying for a while, be more radical on it, kick them out by large numbers, our elections aren't going to change. So in the end, it has a zero effect. You guys are deporting very small amounts, and it's just not enough. You need to send in the military and send a message, because these Democrat mayors, governors, etc., they don't take these people seriously, and they're actually promoting more violence a lot of the time.
talk about even that. Why do we get all these people from Venezuela? Because Trump hired John Bolton to destroy Venezuela's economy, and then on his last day in office gave Venezuela temporary protected status. That was one of his last acts as president, and that means they can't be deported. And then you got 6 million Venezuelans in an exodus, and how many of them ended up here? And by the way, Trump ran in 2016 saying, we're going to build the wall and we're going to solve immigration. It didn't happen. There's no wall. He didn't solve it. What he did was executive orders, which Biden immediately overturned when he took power and then brought in 10 million. Okay, so Trump gets elected again. What does Trump do? You're right. He did secure the border. That's true. But we're 10 million deep. That's a little too late. He promised mass deportations. We've had maybe 300,000 deportations this year. Is that going to go up during the midterm elections? Is that going to go up when everybody's running in the primary in 20?
Yeah, they should have started it off day one, hard as you can go into these deportations. I do think the longer this happens, closer to midterms, the longer, and it pretty much it's a wrap.
7, I don't see it happening. And either way, it hasn't happened. So this is my frustration where I'm like, I was with you in the first term. As in the first term, when I was in college, I was like, yeah, like vote for Trump, never coming down. If he falls short, we'll go on Twitter and tell him to try better. But 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, Republicans have called for our vote all these times and things are not getting better like at all. And that's sort of the frustration where I start to say, let's turn the table around. And I'm not hopscotching over the voters. I want all the right-wing voters. What I want to hopscotch is the donors. I want to hopscotch the party, which is the RNC, which is, Little Tech, Silicon Valley, which is the Israel lobby, which is Wall Street, because they're driving the stuff. Like the reason that Trump is not really what he delivers, or what he promises is because, if you were to deport all these illegal aliens, it's going to be bad for big agriculture, Wall Street, inflation might tick up. And so
Marjorie Taylor Greene's construction company.
That's right. Yeah, 100%. And that's why I want to bypass.
Okay, so bypass. So
and also, not to mention, again, we were just promised so much more than what is being delivered. The Epstein files, they are making a mockery of it. And because of this, we're getting record low approval ratings for Trump. He needs to deliver everything they ran on, eliminating the deep state. There has been 0 arrests still up to date on deep state arrests. You guys need to send a message to the Democrat mayors, governors, etc., who are not following the policy you are putting on them. And if not, no more funding, period. No 600,000 Chinese nationals in our country to go to our schools. We need to fill that up with Americans. We are not too dumb for those positions, Trump, as he seemed to say. There's a lot we could do. Putting America first, America only. No Israel. Get Israel and all these overseas donors out of the picture, period. America donors only. Hope you guys enjoyed that reaction. I'll see you on the next one. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys rated Trump in this new administration. I'm not giving him a good grade, but that's just my opinion. Talk to you guys soon. Peace.